This isn't going to be a review where I pretend that I'm being balanced by listing all the good things to counterbalance all the bad things. I don't like this game, and I'm going to rant about it. However, there are two things that I have to give this game credit for that I really can't take away. One, it's kind of fun to be a drow. Not that it influences the game in any meaningful way that I find worthwhile or that has any kind of bearing on the story, but that it's perhaps unintentionally hilarious. It's somewhere between being circumstantially funny, like if Dracula was on Seinfeld, and it's also just kind of funny how everyone is kind of low-key racist.
I'm watching you, Drow. We all are.
Well, why? Does he think I'm going to steal something? This is the one thing I like about the game that I just can't find in any other game. The other thing is that this is one of the very few multiplayer RPGs that exists. If someone said, despite agreeing with me on every single thing that I hate about this game, that they still want to play this game and they're still having fun with it just because they can get their friends together and play an RPG, yeah, I can't take that away from them. Even if I don't want to play the game like this multiplayer, there's really not much of a choice for people that do, and I understand why. But I still think you should want better from a game like this, and if you're playing it for the single player experience, this is not a good game.
Don't hang about, do ya? Maybe that serves you well out fighting beasties, but this ain't that. This is chicken chasing.
Fuck off! And to be fair to the developers too, a good part of that isn't their fault. Baldur's Gate 3 is based on the 5th edition rules of D&D, which is the worst set of rules made since 4th edition. And I don't think they had a choice in the matter. Let's say, hypothetically, that they wanted to use their own rules, a different edition, or even a different RPG system altogether. If they wanted to make a Baldur's Gate game, or if they were contracted to, I don't see Wizards of the Coast letting them use anything but 5th edition. Because 5th edition is what they're selling. It's their current rules, their supplements, their setting, their modules, it's their fucking subscription service. Are they really going to let a game developer use their setting for a game that can bring in a lot of new players and not have them use their current edition rules? Imagine someone new to role-playing games who enjoys Baldur's Gate 3 so much that they want to play the tabletop game. But now imagine that Baldur's Gate 3 uses 4th edition rules. And now these new players have to wonder why the official D&D website is a different set of rules and whether or not they want to learn, support, and buy this new edition, or stick with what they already know and enjoy and try to find supplements for an older edition. An older edition that isn't bringing in money for Wizards. I don't think the developers are allowed to use any other system, even if they wanted to make a Baldur's Gate game. But, okay, that's enough about 5th edition. What's so bad about using it? I can sum up my hatred of this edition into one word: advantage. D&D 5th edition has taken away any kind of meaningful bonus or alteration and replaced it with advantage. Almost everything in this game gives advantage or its opposite, disadvantage. Using the dodge action, attacks against you have disadvantage. Helping another character, they gain advantage. Attacking while hidden, you have advantage. Oh, yeah, and all the stats effects too. They're all advantage or disadvantage. Stunned, advantage against them. Unconscious, also advantage, but now you get free crits. Blinded, advantage and disadvantage. Prone, also advantage and disadvantage, but the advantage is only while within 5 feet. That's oddly specific. So a 50-foot giant swinging a tree at a drunken fat dwarf in full plate that has fallen over, by the book, does not have advantage unless it's on the ground right next to its feet. Every kind of interesting tactical or role-playing option has been replaced with advantage and disadvantage. You get to roll one extra dice. And the best part is, as long as you have one effect giving you advantage, you get to ignore every other instance that gives you disadvantage, and vice versa. If I'm frightened, poisoned, prone, restrained, and have level 3 exhaustion, it's all negated by Raw against an enemy that has had the first level spell Fairy Fire placed on it. Oh, and speaking of spells, here's another thing. Spells are garbage. Most of the spells have been nerfed, which is bad enough already, if they didn't make two major changes. One, spells are not tied to your caster level. If you want to cast a better spell, you have to spend a higher spell slot. And two, concentration. Every spell, Now, that has an effect, which lasts longer than one turn, requires concentration, meaning you can only have one of these spells active, and if you take any sort of damage, you have a good chance of losing that spell. In fact, it doesn't even need to be damage. A DM can rule that anything that takes your mind off the spell can cause you to lose concentration. Look at this. Banishment. If this spell ends before 1 minute, if you lose your concentration within 10 turns of casting this spell, the target reappears in the space it left. Banishment doesn't banish a creature if you lose concentration. Banishment doesn't banish. And I know, someone wants to say that all these changes are meant to streamline a game. Okay, please explain how this version of banishment, where the players have to keep track of their concentration for 10 turns or else the banished creature becomes unbanished in the space that it was banished from, is more streamlined than this version of banishment, which flat out instantly banishes the target. Even something as simple as flanking is gone. It's gone. I can't find it anywhere in the rules. Whenever I've tried to look it up, it's mentioned that flanking is now a variant rule that is completely optional. Something as simple as flanking, which rewards positioning and teamwork and tactics, gone. Fine, whatever. But anytime someone wants to try and pull a fast one with the whole 5e is supposed to be a straightforward set of rules, not a simulation, or that it's meant to be streamlined and fun, let me show you this part of the basic rules in 5th edition. Madness. By Raw, the DM can decide that your character could go mad or insane. This can be from anything from the monsters they fight to the spells they cast, and the only way to get rid of it is also through spells. If you get short-term madness, you can randomly decide to start eating dirt for up to 10 minutes. You can spend an entire fight, up to 100 rounds, unconscious. Does that sound fun? Is it straightforward that my character can develop partial amnesia for days? And again, this is a core rule. Feats and flanking, optional. Insanity, part of the basic rules under running the game.
Did you feel that? You've got the same thing I do. In your head.
Yeah, it's called a brain. Actually, here's another test. One that everyone brings up whenever there's something new. Is this more fun? Is it more fun that I have less options to influence a situation and that the best that I can do with all my spells and abilities is to give myself advantage and maybe an extra 1d4? Is it more fun that I have less character options because feats are now optional and I can only get one every 4 levels if I decide not to get a stat boost? Because here's a secret I've learned from playing D&D for a very long time. Players enjoy bigger numbers, and they enjoy being cool. When the party barbarian gets a crit with his 4 times crit damage great axe, his face lights up. He's ready to roll some damage. It doesn't matter how easy to play the game is, he just wants one thing: excessive amounts of damage. And the more you can work together and skew the game towards getting him that damage, the happier he or she is. Rolling twice to attack does not do this. All this crap about streamlining the game and making an experience and not a simulation is marketing. Players will learn and enjoy any rule set that lets them create something unique to them and lets them be cool. I can't fucking tell you how to play Warhammer 40k. My mind turns to jelly trying to read any of this crap, but people love it. They have loved it for 20, 30, probably more years, because it has Space Marines, and orcs, and big fucking guns, and demons, and it's just fucking cool. They will learn this system and whatever new edition codex they have just to play their cool ass hand-painted armies. And what is cool about 5th edition? Nothing. Nothing about this edition is cool. And here's the absolute worst, unredeemable part of 5th edition. It is not a new edition. If you went from 3rd to 4th edition, you were paying real money for new rules. The rules were different, the classes were different, you bought a different game. Even though I hate it, 4th edition was a new edition. They put in work and made something new. All they did for 5th edition was remove rules from 3rd edition. You bought 5th edition, you paid money for a gutted 3rd edition. It has nothing new, it only takes things away. You're paying money for worse rules. If you don't believe me, just look at the classes, what players are allowed to play. You have all the standard classes, plus 2, the Artificer and Blood Hunter. These aren't class paths or archetypes, these are full-level classes. I didn't like the edition, but at least they tried something with it. Compare that to 4th edition. Within 2 years, they added the Invoker, the Avenger, the Warden, the Shaman, the Scion, the Seeker, the Ardent, the Rune Priest, and others.
Better to understand a watchful broodmother than a beloved child of Loth.
You ever noticed I'm a male druid, or a male drow, and things are a bit different from us. Also, I'm Sildurian. I have not love for the Queen of Spiders.
Indeed. But you do exhibit a talent for self-preservation.
You've just moved the goalposts onto the other side of the track.
Defending her brood. Is it not her nature to strike at invaders?
We've got
No
snake
matter.
druids.
I
Look at that rat! Just minding its own business.
We will seal the grove.
Just grooving in the
Free from
background.
harm.
Wait, what's he
Free
saying?
of intruders.
Yeah. Back the drove, whatever. Alright, enough with me ranting about 5th edition. The point is, I can't blame the developers for a lot of the issues I have regarding this game's mechanics, but there's still things they can and have changed. Cantrips used to leave behind puddles until they deemed it was too powerful, so that already tells me that they have some room to change things mechanics-wise. And there are plenty of other problems that I think are their fault. Let me start with something minor. The UE. Look at how boring this UE is. It's so boring you probably can't remember what it or the menus look like. You can only remember where the buttons were. This UE is a problem. A minor one, but still a problem. Because it's uninspired, utilitarian, and a Spartan design that takes me out of the game. My immersion is already ruined just by looking at the game, because it reminds me that this video game is just a video game. Let me show you some other classic UEs, and I'm going to be using screenshots from their GOG release. Fallout 2, an amazing faded metal dashboard with green LED text. Diablo, an ominous dark gothic cathedral look. Darkest Dungeon, a similar style, but more stylized like a comic book. Arcanum, an early industrial, maybe post-Renaissance look that has wooden panels with gauges and buttons. And one of my favorites, Pathfinder Kingmaker. The game is presented as a book Lindsay is writing in real time as the game progresses, and the UE reflects this. Sheets of worn paper are used for the quick bar and events history. Some of the buttons are written in a stylized font. I don't know what this part is, maybe some kind of book binder or folder, but it looks nice. And the fucking menus! It's like actually opening up a book. Even the quest log is written in character from Lindsay's point of view. This is one of the best looking UEs I've ever seen. It makes the game pleasant to look at, and makes me want to be part of the world. Now look at Baldur's Gate 3 again. Take it in. What does it say to you? To me, it says they didn't give a shit. They wanted something usable and efficient. They didn't give a fuck about the world or your experience. They just want you to play this game. And it is a minor point, I will admit agree to this, but just think for a minute that something as simple and important as the interface you use to experience the game, they didn't give a fuck about it. And that's not all. It's not just an issue of the UE being boring or lazy. This UE is bad. It doesn't work. Take a look at this. There are 4 spots that have Wile's HP. 4. Answer me this question. How much HP does Wile have? If you understand that there is a reason I have asked such a simple question, then you have probably figured out that his HP is not 3 out of 24. You see, he is rallied. The correct HP he has, which isn't 3 out of 24, is 11 out of 32, which you can only see if you mouse over his character, or if you notice this extra HP bar right here that doesn't actually say how much HP he has. The game has his HP listed 4 times on the UE, and all of them are wrong. Look at this. Death saving. The actual mechanic of death saving isn't their fault. It's a terrible 5th edition change which has gutted 3rd edition's death saving throws and replaced them with something even more random and less fair. But look at this thing. It took me, shamefully, hours to understand what I'm even looking at. The character goes down, they get this. An asymmetric Beyblade on them. There's 2 different sides. Each side gets a different color, builds up at the start, in different positions, and goes in different directions. Each pip is a different color too. Even along the same axis, it will start as purple and turn into red. I had to look up this shit in the game's encyclopedia, and I still don't understand what it is I'm looking at. Only when I looked up death saving throws in the 5th edition rules did I figure it out, and by watching whatever happened with this thing and correlating whatever it did with the rules. If you figured out what the asymmetric Beyblade did the first time it popped up for you, congratulations. But I want to know, I need to know, if anyone else had trouble figuring this stupid thing out. I can't sleep them all, but I can probably grease them all. Oh, I can grease one, I guess. What the fuck? Just yeeted himself to 5 damage, okay. And then there's the combat. I'm not going to talk too much about the optimal way to play this game. It's very silly. You drop candles, and you dip your blade into the candles to deal fire damage. You throw enemies into each other, and you try to get as much done outside of combat order as you can. If you're interested, there's plenty of other videos about this game, played by much better players than I am, showing you the optimal way to beat this game. But the point I want to make with this is that this is not normally what I'd expect from D&D. This game is best played by disengaging yourself from the combat as much as possible, except to mop up enemies. You aren't playing a group of unique heroes that use their extraordinary skills and abilities. You are stabbing candles and pushing monsters off ledges. And again, this problem is part of 5th edition rules. Since your characters have generally weak and linear abilities, the game's mechanics are much stronger than your actual characters. This is not a party-based tactical game, it's a scuffed stealth assassination game. And I'm not going to complain about that too much. If you wanted Divinity 2 again, then you got it, but this does not play like a game of D&D. Positioning does not matter in this game. Disengaging lets a character move freely and not provoke attacks of opportunity. I had to do a triple take, watching this archer disengage, fire its bow, and move again. What's the point of engaging something in melee if it can just walk away and still attack me? Oh yeah, and now you add dex to ranged weapon damage, so even the fact that melee should deal more damage no longer matters. And this is working intended by 5e rules too, because disengage makes all movement not provoke, as opposed to 3.5's withdrawal, which just makes the square you leave not provoke, and it costs a standard action, so normally you can't do anything else after using it. Disengage is stupid. It doesn't make sense. In Pathfinder and every other RPG, I'm always planning out my formation, figuring out how I want to approach encounters, corner enemies, keep them from reaching my spell caches, and also keeping everyone far enough apart that they don't get wiped out by an AoE, like a fireball or a lightning bolt or some shit. But here, everything just doesn't care. Oh, finally, some monsters that I can show you how D&D is supposed to be played. Here's a large group of hyenas camped out in the middle of a field of gore, so naturally they have to be hostile. I'm going to drop a sleep spell on all of them, then I'll sneak up and have my fighter coup de grace them all one by one by... Why does it want me to talk to them? Holy fuck! That's not what I wanted to happen. Why does the game keep fucking cheating on me like that? Goddamn, I just did the perfect wizard strategy, and the DM said, nope, they're nulls now. Fuck this game. Damn, I've never been so pissed at an RPG before. And here's where I quit the game. Well, let me back up for a bit. The first act is beating up goblins, or joining them. Why, I don't know. Either way, I snuck in, killed their leaders, and snuck back out. When I got back to the valley, everyone celebrated and threw a huge party for some reason. Okay, I get that the Tieflings need something to celebrate, because everything has been kinda awful for them, but this hasn't changed anything. There's still an army of goblins out there that's going to raid and pillage and probably attack them on their way to Baldur's Gate. This party, for me, feels entirely undeserved. Why are we celebrating? And the weirdest part is, every party member seems to have the hots for me now. I haven't done anything. I barely talk to them, and the most they do is order me around and act snarky to each other.
You have made an ally from Kresh Kalir. Few know such fortune. Call me Lae'zel.
Fool. No point in showing a mad dog kindness, it'll still bite you in the end.
Everything's biting me
You've a
in the
sharp
end right
tongue,
now.
Elf. Would that your mind proved its equal.
Excuse me,
Elf. I suppose
I'm an
the
elf
finer
too.
details are lost on a creature like you.
Can we go 5 seconds without being racist to
The
each other?
Hawkins mentioned a camp. One there, this Zoru, has seen Githyanki.
Come on,
Kresh
guys.
must be
At least we're all
We'll
not
ask
human.
this Zoru where he has
That
seen
would
the
be
king.
terrible. Am I supposed to feel romantically involved? Am I being set up for a joke? Am I getting pranked? This entire scene just seems wrong. Anyways, the party ends and the tieflings head to Baldur's Gate, where I'm sure nothing bad will happen, and I return the Archdruid to his grove. In his absence, another druid seized power and sought to magically close off the grove and prevent his return. She also tries to kill a child with a snake and install some kind of weird snake regime. Upon the Archdruid's return, he punishes her by demoting her to novice, and immediately decides to leave the grove again and join me. He doesn't stay to make sure that his circle of druids hasn't been corrupted by her philosophy. No, he decides that he will send for another druid to lead them and is confident she won't try taking over power again. And I thought wisdom was a druid's primary stat. So here we are now, in the Underdark, and holy fuck, I already have anxiety. Look at this map. Now look at this one. It's all twisty little intersecting paths that go high and low. All of it. I was hoping, foolishly, that the Underdark, which is a network of caves, would be a refreshing change of environment. That, sure, I'd still be going through a bunch of passageways, but now there'd be tiny and cramped tunnels that lead into unique and varied caves, traveling around giant stalactites, maybe pools of acid and lava, forests of giant mushrooms and geothermal vents. But no, it's a bunch of high and low interconnected paths. And I can see that I'm going to have to fight my way through them. That every 50 feet, there will be another planned encounter. So here's where I quit. There is one Minotaur. Getting targeted by him always seems to activate a second Minotaur, no matter the distance. And this looks like a hard fight, but I like a challenge, and I'm confident that I can take him on with clever positioning. I array my fighter to intercept his charge, and my spellcasters and other characters in back. Maybe I can push him off the edge or debuff him enough to outdamage him. Either way, if I at least have him block the bridge, I can fight them one at a time and focus my damage. Oh my god. Are you fucking kidding me? It jumps over my fighter, instantly knocking one character out. It moves, attacks another character and knocks them out too, then gets to move and attack again, all in one turn. Look at this. It's a Minotaur. Minotaurs charge. And don't give me some bullshit about how this is a special Underdark Minotaur. I looked it up. It has the same stat block as a regular 5th edition Minotaur. See? Its stat block even says it has a charge, not a leap. It has no skills in acrobatics or jumping either. It charges. It's a bull monster. It's supposed to charge. But in this game, I'm getting shack attacked by Minotaurs from the NBA. This isn't the first weird inconsistency in monsters either. In the very beginning, you fight imps, creatures from hell, imps who, for some reason, do not have their trademark fire resistance. But these leaping fucking Minotaurs were the final straw. Leaping Minotaurs are too stupid for me to handle. I tried so hard to enjoy this game and be open-minded with its rules and enjoy it on its own terms. I went through the entire first act, the stuff with the druids and the goblins, but these Minotaurs jumped the shark for me. None of the game is worth having to deal with leaping Minotaurs. The boring story, which is just a replay of the same opening from Divinity 2, is not worth dealing with leaping Minotaurs for. The 5 other party members, I say 5 because I killed the vampire for pulling a fucking dagger on me when we first met, are not fun enough companions to fight leaping Minotaurs with. The 5th edition rules do not have the depth or strategy for me to enjoy a fight with leaping Minotaurs. And I still can't tell how much fucking HP Wile has. Huh.
Should have done that a long time ago. Arrogant prick had it out for me from day one.
Regression. A cheap shot. I should have expected
Yeah,
that.
just what you'd
What I
expect
didn't
from a
expect.
human.
I worship Shah, the mistress of the night. This type of headpiece is worn by my brothers and sisters. Now that you have the truth, please don't make a big fuss about it.
Just don't make a fuss about me being a drow.
Not my usual quarry, nor my usual ally.
I hear your worship, we have bigger problems.
True. I didn't think you'd react so pragmatically. Perhaps I should have told you sooner.
Yeah. What'd she think? That the drow would be like, whoa, hold on. Shar, really? Oh, I can't be dealing with you. That could sully my reputation.